Today is April 5th, 2024, the 30th anniversary of when Kurt Cobain sadly passed away. Kurt was a lot of things to a lot of people, but here at Nirvana Guitars, we focus and honor the memory of Kurt the singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Last year, I put out a video called My Entire Nirvana Gear Collection. A lot has changed in my collection in the last year, and a lot of people have been asking for an update video. In honor of Kurt's memory and the influence he has on guitar playing, I am excited to present the 2024 edition of my entire Nirvana gear collection. After all, he is the reason that my channel and my collection even exist. Before my channel, I'd get maybe one new guitar a year, if that. But thanks to all of you and the support you've shown for my channel, I have been able to invest in my videos and to add on quite a few guitars to create content with. I will never be able to thank you all enough. It's been a dream come true to create and to share these nerdy videos. I'm going to show you my complete collection as it is today. Guitars, pedals, and then amps. We are going to start with guitars and going to go in chronological order of when Kurt used them. I have dedicated videos about all my guitars, so if there's any you'd like to learn more about, be sure to search for it on my channel. Let's start with guitars Kurt got during the Bleach era. First up is my 60s Stella Harmony H912. Kurt got his for $30 in December 1989 in a pawn shop. Although it is a 12-string, he only ever had 5 nylon strings on it and supposedly never changed the strings the entire time he had it. It's most commonly referred to as the Nevermind acoustic due to its use on Poly and Something in the Way, but it is so much more than just that. It is also on In Utero, many home demos, and is thought to be the guitar Kurt wrote the most songs on. Mine is temperamental. It's not meant to have nylon strings, so there are some road bumps that come with that setup, such as on and off buzzing. Mine does stay in tune great. It's surreal to strum and to hear that haunting and dry Poly sound that is so well known. My only true vintage Bleach era electric guitar, Epiphone ET270. First seen on January 19, 1990 and used at essentially every show until it was smashed on April 26, 1990. Notable uses include the Pine Street Theater show that's on the Bleach 20th Anniversary editions, and the Smart Sessions in April 1990 that's usually referred to as the Nevermind demos. Mine is a 1971 and is completely stock. I lucked out as it is in almost mint condition. A hugely underrated guitar, not just for Nirvana tones, but in general. This is one of the ones I go back to the most. Due to its age and rarity, this is not one I would play live, but since getting it, it has become my main writing and recording guitar. We're now going into the Nevermind era. Fender K Strat build. This guitar gets its nickname from the black K Records sticker by the bridge. First seen on October 24th, 1990, and was his main guitar until it was stolen after the Jabberjaw show on May 29th, 1991. Potentially used at the 1990 BBC session, most likely used on the 2 B-sides of the Smells Like Teen Spirit single and on Nevermind itself. I put together and set this one up completely by myself. The pickups are Fender Tex-Mex single coils and a Seymour Duncan 59B, custom 1-ply 8-hole pickguard. Easily in the top 3 of my collection and the guitar that made me realize I am a Strat guy. This is my 3rd Nirvana Strat, but it makes me want more. Vandalism Stratocaster. This is a Chris Story guitar and is his Paramount Edition Vandalism Strat. It is a heavily modified and relict Squier Strat. It has a Seymour Duncan 59N humbucker just like Kurt's. Chris even cuts down the headstock to make it look like the Fernandez replacement neck we see at the Paramount show. Kurt is first seen with his on June 10, 1991, and its last use was on December 7, 1991. Crazy to think that it was only used for 6 months, and it is arguably one of the most iconic and well-known Stratocasters of all time. Most known for its use at Reading 91 and the Paramount show. Kurt's was a Japanese Fender Stratocaster that went through 3 different necks. Its stock Fender neck in the summer of 91, Fernandez neck in the fall, and its final blank Kramer neck in the winter. Fender Kurt Cobain Roadworn Signature Jaguar, a guitar that needs no introduction, probably the one that Kurt is most associated with. First seen on June 10th, 1991, and last used in August 93, his primary guitar on all the Nevermind tours. It's debatable whether or not it was used on Nevermind, but it was used on In Utero. It was even brought on the In Utero tour. Jim Vincent, who was a guitar tech on that tour, told me that he remembers working on it during the tour, but Kurt never used it then. The most versatile guitar I own, it can nail any Nirvana era if you dial it in just right. When people tell me they only want one Kurt guitar and they need a recommendation, I will always point to this one first. This guitar made for a memorable 18th birthday I will never forget. With how extensive and detailed the relicing is, I remember thinking as a teenager that this belonged in a museum, not in my basement. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Fender Competition Mustang, another extremely iconic Nirvana guitar, thanks to its use in the groundbreaking Smells Like Teen Spirit music video. People are often surprised to learn it was rarely used live. First seen at the Beehive Records performance in September 91, and last used in April 93, but in that time frame it was used at only about 7 or 8 shows. But it was used on Nevermind, In Utero, and is currently the most expensive electric guitar ever sold. It was a wedding present from my wife. It's not a vintage 1969 competition Mustang, it's a 90s Mustang that was repainted, and when we received it, the paint job on it was rough and not well done. I loved it nonetheless though for years, but I'm finally getting it completely repainted to look like an actual vintage competition Mustang. I sent it out a little over 4 months ago. I was hoping I would have it back in time for this video, but I'm still waiting. That's why it hasn't been in any of my content since last November. Once I have it, you can expect an update. VMA Strat build. First used on February 14th, 1992, and used and smashed for the final time in Argentina on October 30th, 1992. While Kurt had various smasher hot rail strats in this era, this one will always stand out from the rest thanks to its famous use at the 1992 VMAs. This is the first guitar I put together completely by myself, so it will always be special for that reason. Tex-Mex single coils and white hot rails. Custom 1-ply 8-hole pickguard. Although it has the VMA look, this guitar serves me well for all Nirvana hot rail strat tones, such as Reading 92. I recently got to see and document the remains of the actual VMA Strat. It was such an amazing experience. Now, for my favorite time period and where the majority of the guitar collection falls into, the In Utero era. Roseland Jag-Stang, a 1995 Japanese Jag-Stang. This was my first Fender and is still the comfiest neck I own. I had it in semi-Oranj-Stang form for many years before finally modding it to Roseland specs about a year and a half ago. Seymour Duncan JB Jr. and Red Tort pickguard. The mods are inspired by Kurt's Roseland Mustang. It was only ever used in this form at the Roseland show, July 23, 1993. Soon after, it was modded to its final and more known form, which brings us to my budget build of that guitar. This was built by Jeff of Lomit Guitars using only spare parts he had in his shop. Even though the pickups are completely different to what Kurt has in his, I have been able to replicate its tones, such as the February 94 Canal Plus tone. This guitar is proof that there are multiple ways to recreate a tone, not just by using the exact same model and year gear as the artist used. Kurt's Oranj-Stang in its final form, with its white pickguard and a full-size JB humbucker, is first seen on the first date of the In Utero tour, October 18, 1993, and is used until February 24, 1994. On to a guitar I've had completed for over a year now, but I still can't believe it's real. D18e Unplugged build. Kurt first used his Martin D18e on September 8, 1993, and we last see it at Nirvana's second-to-last show on February 27, 1994. This is the Unplugged guitar, the only guitar Kurt played for Nirvana's entire legendary MTV Unplugged taping. The resulting live album is often considered one of the greatest live albums of all time, and is Nirvana's second best-selling album only after Nevermind. This Martin is currently the most expensive guitar ever sold after its monumental auction in 2020. Mine started out as a plain Sigma DM3, and Jeff at Lomic Guitars completely transformed it to be 100% spec accurate to the actual unplugged guitar. 2 D-Armond Row Dynasonics, and a vintage 90s Bardolini 3AV sound hole pickup. Kurt had his Dynasonics disconnected, but mine are wired in and all 3 pickups are fully functional. As a teenager just getting into guitar playing, the Unplugged show defined what acoustic music is for me. To say that this is a dream build would be an understatement. Now we are on to my favorite guitar. Fender Kurt Cobain's signature Mustang that has been modded to Skystang 1 replica status. Kurt's most played guitar on Nirvana's final 2 tours. First and last uses being the first and last dates of the In Utero tour. It was notably used for almost the entirety of Live and Loud, one of Nirvana's most popular shows. The changes on mine are a white Seymour Duncan JB that has the same damage as Kurt's, white single coil cover, cut white pickup switches, small post Nashville style Tune-O-Matic, and a brilliant Skystang replica pickguard made by Lomic Guitars. I had a life-changing day last year where I documented and played the actual Skystang 1, while Kurt's guitar tech Ernie Bailey and Kurt's brother Chad Cobain were in the room. I sent Jeff at Lomic the close-up pictures I took of the pickguard. He transformed these pictures into the pickguards that he has available today. Before Julian's Auctions invited me to see Skystang 1, the thought of having a Skystang 1 replica pickguard with the yellow V was almost impossible to fathom. I am extremely happy and honored to have played a small role in helping getting the most accurate Skystang 1 replica pickguards out into the world. Some days, I end up staring at this one more than I play it. In my opinion, when Fender put out the Kurt Cobain signature Mustang, this is what it should have looked like stock from the factory. I could go on and on about how much I love this guitar and what it means to me, but I have multiple videos out about this guitar where I do that. And we need to get on to the rest of the collection. Eastwood High Flyer Phase 4. Kurt's High Flyers are usually associated with the Bleach era, but this is Eastwood's replica of the guitar Kurt used in the heart-shaped box music video. I've had people ask me if these 2 guitars are the same guitar, but they are not. The white High Flyer he used in the Bleach era is a Phase 3. Notice how it has a tailpiece and a rosewood neck, and the heart-shaped box High Flyer does not. These are 2 separate guitars. According to Live Nirvana's equipment guide, it was used on the In Utero tour on October 21st, 1993, and that was its only live use. Even though this is technically an In Utero era guitar, I use it for all my Bleach and pre-Bleach era needs. It has nailed every early tone I've thrown at it so far. Last but not least is my 2021 Mexican Jag-Stang that has been extensively modded to Kurt's prototype specs. I changed basically everything you can change on this guitar to get it as close as possible to the Jag-Stang Kurt played on stage. Fender Texas Special Bridge Single Coil, Seymour Duncan 59, Godo Tune-O-Matic Bridge, Custom 1-ply plain white pickguard, and Godo tuners. There is a long-running myth that Kurt hated the Jag-Stang and that he only used it for 1 or 2 songs at one show. It's 2024 and there are still people saying that, even though footage of him using it is readily and easily available. It's not like it's 1997 anymore. First used on December 1st, 1993 and last seen on February 27th, 94. There are a few shows where he used it for the entire or almost the entire show. That takes care of it for the guitars. Now we move on to my lone bass. Ibanez Black Eagle 40th Anniversary Reissue. Christ used Ibanez Black Eagles throughout Nirvana's entire career and used one for almost the entirety of the Bleach era. Christ has said that he recorded Bleach with his first Black Eagle. A fun thing I want to add along with this is my copy of Bass Player magazine that I had Christ sign. He is holding a Black Eagle on the cover. Now to pedals. Something I've been keeping quiet about is my mission to create the biggest and most unnecessary Nirvana pedal board ever. I got tired of constantly switching out pedals on my small board depending on what video I was making. so I sought to make a channel board where I would never have to switch out pedals no matter what video I am working on. I am almost there. I just need a few more distortion pedals and then I will consider this pedal board done and it will have its own dedicated video. But for now, here's what I have in the order of my signal flow. Arion Stage Tuner, the only tuner pedal Kurt used on stage, used in the Bleach era up until October 1990. Digitech Drop Tune, obviously a pedal Kurt never used, but it comes in very handy if I'm playing a guitar that's set up in standard and I want to quickly play in either a half step or full step down. My 90s small clone, the chorus pedal that Kurt is first seen with in January 1991, and then he famously used it for the rest of his career, live and in studio. I'm gonna group these next two together. Dandy Horse Echo Flanger Clone and 90s Stereo Polychorus reissue. The Echo Flanger is a clone of the original Echo Flanger and Polychoruses Kurt used, and 100% recreates the sounds that Kurt got out of his. The Stereo Polychorus has always gotten me very close, but never 100% in my opinion, for radio-friendly unit shifter and scentless apprentice, but it makes the live heart-shaped box solo sound perfectly. So I've got them set to where I only need to move one knob for all three main Nirvana sounds. On the Echo Flanger, this will give me radio-friendly. Moving this one knob will now make it ready for scentless. The Polychorus lives on the heart-shaped box solo settings. We are now at my ridiculously long line of distortion pedals. First up is the Behringer SF300 Super Fuzz, a second generation clone of the Univox Super Fuzz that Kurt used on the Fecal Matter tape. Mid-90s Boss DS2. When it comes to pedals, Kurt is most associated with his Boss distortion pedals. He's first seen with a DS2 in September 1991 and is his main distortion until the Sansamp came into the picture. The Sansamp is actually an early amp modeler way before amp sims were a thing, but Kurt used it as a distortion pedal. It was used on In Utero, first seen live at the Roseland show in July 93, and from then on it was his main distortion on the entire In Utero tour. Kurt's JB Mustangs going through this pedal is my favorite tone of all time. This has become my go-to and my favorite distortion pedal. 1992 Boss DS1. Kurt famously used a DS1 on both Bleach and Nevermind and almost the entirety of the Bleach era. First used June 1987 and last seen on September 25th, 1991. It was immediately replaced by the DS2. Russian Big Muff Pi. It's known Kurt used a Big Muff while recording Lithium, but which Big Muff is a huge debate. I got this one because there is a Butch Vig quote where he says he brought his own Russian Big Muff to the Nevermind sessions and that Kurt might have used that. Since putting out my Lithium Tone video, it's been pointed out to me that the original Russian Big Muffs did not come out until 1992, so it's a mystery which exact Big Muff is on Lithium, but this one served me perfectly for that tone and it's a very fun pedal in general. It's in a close second place for my favorite distortion. 1993 DoD FX69 Grunge pedal, the same exact model that Kurt used for 7 shows on the In Utero tour. MXR Phase 100, the modern reissue of the pedal used on Curmudgeon. Boss DM2W, the modern Wazacraft reissue of the delay pedal that Kurt used in the pre-Bleach era, notably on If You Must and Love Buzz. And now onto my amps. 1970s Randall Commander 2 RG120-212. This is the combo amp version of the Randall Commander head that Kurt used at various points throughout his career, including the Dale demo, the Love Buzz single sessions, and the In Utero sessions. This amp is heavy as hell. Mine has a consistent hum that I really need an amp tech to check out, but I love it nonetheless. It's been amazing for Dale demo tones in particular. My last piece of gear I'm going to show you is by far my most used one, Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb. My channel would not be a thing without this. This is used in 98% of my videos. Kurt was known to love Fender Twins. He used one for the majority of Bleach, on Unplugged, and a handful of live shows, and it's been said that he kept one at home for songwriting. I initially bought mine thinking it would just be a stepping stone, that I would dial in what Bleach tones I could and then move on to a Mesa Boogie studio preamp. That preamp is still a dream piece of gear that I really want, but I haven't felt the need to put it before guitar projects because the Twin has been nailing seriously everything I throw at it, whether it be live or studio from any era. I will eventually get the Mesa Boogie Pre to satisfy the completist in me, but the tone chaser in me is more than happy with the Twin. My unnecessarily large collection is always growing and is never complete. I've currently got something in the works that's been long requested and I'm really excited about it, so be sure to stay tuned. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Nirvana Guitars and check out my Nirvana gear videos right here on YouTube.